Understand why your life is about to be an absolute living hell? We need to look at the cold, hard data. In ancient Rome, you aren't legally considered a human being. Roman law is very straightforward and brutal about this. You are instrumentum vocale. That literally translates to a talking tool. You have the exact same legal status as a shovel, a wooden wheelbarrow, or a farm ox. The only technical difference? You can speak, and the ox can't. During the peak of the empire, Rome was entirely fueled by slave labor. We are talking about nearly 30 to 40% of the entire population living in chains. That means over 1/3 of society was owned by the other 2/3. How did Rome acquire millions of these talking tools? Simple. Total warfare. Every time the Roman legions crushed an enemy tribe or burned a kingdom to the ground, they didn't just loot the gold, they enslaved the people. Tens of thousands of conquered souls were bound, marched across continents, and sold at auction. If your parents were captured in war, Roman masters would deliberately separate them. Why? Because emotional bonds made slaves dangerous and harder to control. They would sell the father to a deadly silver mine in Spain and keep the mother in a domestic villa in Italy. And since you were born from a slave mother, guess what? You automatically become the permanent property of her master. A brand new zero-cost asset added to the master's digital free inventory log. Let's talk about your childhood culinary experience because, spoiler alert, there are no chicken nuggets, chocolate milk, or sugary cereals in your future. As a growing baby slave, your mother can only feed you during the brief minutes her master allows her to take a break. Since she is overworked and severely malnourished, she is thin, frail, and exhausted. Once the master's overseers inspect you and decide you look healthy enough to survive, you are officially stamped into the household inventory. From age 0 to 5, your master wants to keep you alive just so you don't waste his investment, but he refuses to spend actual money on your food. Your daily menu for 5 straight years: a thrilling, tasteless dish called pulse, a thick, watery porridge made entirely of boiled fava beans and basic grains. Day in, day out, morning, noon, and night. Beans, beans, and more beans. Because of this extreme lack of proper protein and vitamins, you grow up looking like a walking skeleton, just a thin layer of skin over your robotic wiring. But don't worry, your master isn't stressed about your health. He's just counting down the days until your 5th birthday. Because in the eyes of Rome, if a child can walk, that child can work. Happy 5th birthday, Zimo. Your grand birthday present? Your very first full-time job. You are sent straight to the master's massive agricultural estate known as a latifundia. At 5 years old, they obviously don't hand you a massive iron plow or a sharp scythe, but they give you tasks that require speed and constant endurance. Your job is to carry heavy water jars to the adult slaves sweating in the fields, carry bundles of wet straw to the animal stables, and clear heavy rocks out of the dirt so the master's expensive machinery doesn't break. There are no weekends, no summer breaks, no cozy winter holidays. The entire concept of time off doesn't exist in your world. You work from the absolute second the sun rises until the moment it sets. If you slow down for even a breath, the villicus, the brutal slave supervisor, will instantly remind you of your status with a harsh crack of a leather whip. But here's the fascinating biochemical twist in our Roman simulation. This non-stop, punishing physical labor accidentally turns into an elite 24/7 fitness program because you are constantly lifting, carrying, and running. Your robotic frame begins to rapidly adapt. To keep up with your caloric burning, your master gives you a minor dietary upgrade. You can now add barley bread to your daily bowl of beans. It's still boring, but this carb and protein combo turns you into an absolute machine. Your muscles harden like Roman concrete, and your gears develop insane torque. By the time you turn 8 years old, absolute tragedy strikes. Your mother, completely worn out by decades of endless labor and terrible living conditions, catches a severe Roman fever. She is dying. You beg the farm supervisor to call a doctor or buy basic medicine, but the master takes out his wax tablet, does some quick math, and reaches a chilling conclusion. Buying a brand new, healthy child slave from the market is actually cheaper than paying a doctor to treat an old, exhausted woman. So he leaves her to die in the corner of a dark barn without spending a single copper coin on her comfort. Your robotic core burns with absolute unadulterated rage. You want to tear the villa apart, but you can't. Why? Because you are literally in iron chains, and any sign of rebellion means immediate crucifixion. You swallow your hatred, lock it deep inside your memory chips, and keep working. By age 13, the fava beans, barley, and pure burning anger have transformed you into an absolute giant. You are stronger, faster, and more physically imposing than slaves twice your age. And unfortunately for you, people are starting to notice. Your massive physique eventually catches the eye of a traveling Roman military commander who also moonlights as a talent scout for the blood arenas. He sees your broad shoulders, your powerful hydraulic arms, and the sheer determination in your yellow eyes. He offers your master a massive stack of silver coins. Your master, seeing a massive return on investment, sells you on the spot without a second thought. You pack your zero belongings and are marched to a ludus, a specialized, high-security gladiator training school. For a split second, you think your luck has changed. The food here is actually better, and they give you a special diet of boiled barley and plant ash, ancient Roman protein shakes meant to build a thick layer of protective fat over your muscles. But make no mistake, this isn't a luxury resort. You spend 14 hours a day learning the most efficient ways to cut, stab, and disembowel another living soul. You don't get to choose your fighting style. Your new owner chooses it based on your build. Because you are incredibly agile despite your size, he designates you as a Retiarius. This is a high-risk, low-armor style. Your entire equipment kit consists of a large fishing net, a 3-pronged trident, a tiny backup dagger, and a single metal plate strapped to your left shoulder. No helmet, no shield, no chest armor. If you get hit once, it's game over. At age 15, the heavy iron gates of the Colosseum slide open, and you step onto the hot, blood-soaked sand for your very first real match. The noise of 50,000 screaming Romans hits your sensors like a tidal wave. Your opponent is a seasoned murmillo, a walking fortress covered in heavy iron armor, a massive shield, and a deadly short sword. To the crowd, you look like a lamb sent to the slaughter. The betting odds are completely against you. The whistle blows. The murmillo charges, swinging his heavy blade with terrifying power. But he underestimates one thing. Your years of carrying water jars under the burning sun have given you godlike speed. You sidestep his attack like a ghost. With a lightning-fast flick of your wrist, you throw your weighted net right over his fish-crested helmet, tangling his arms. You sweep his legs, plant your foot on his chest, and point your sharp trident right at his throat. The giant realizes he's completely trapped and raises his finger, signaling his surrender. The stadium goes completely silent. The crowd wanted a prolonged, bloody mutilation, not a 5-second tactical masterclass. Thousands of people start chanting for your death, thumbs pointing down, but your owner steps in and denies the execution. Why? Because training a gladiator is incredibly expensive, and he's not going to throw away his prized asset just because the crowd is throwing a tantrum. You survive your first day on the sand. Over the next 5 years, you become an absolute legend. You win match after match, your face is painted on city walls, and Roman noblewomen pay fortunes just to get a lock of your hair. You are 20 years old, and you are the undisputed king of the arena. But the emperor gets jealous of your massive fame, or maybe he just wants to test your absolute limits. On a special festival day, you are thrown into a venatio, a specialized wildlife hunt show. The floor gates open, and out leaps a massive, terrifying African lion. These beasts are kept in pitch-black underground cages and completely starved for weeks to make them incredibly aggressive. Usually, untrained slaves or criminals are thrown to these lions completely naked as a horrific public execution method. But you are Zimo. You don't run. The lion springs through the air, claws extended, aiming straight for your neck. You drop to one knee, let the beast fly over you, and using its own momentum, you drive your trident straight through its chest. The lion crashes to the sand, lifeless. The entire Colosseum erupts into absolute madness. 50,000 citizens stand up, screaming your name. The emperor has no choice. He bows to the crowd's demands and awards you the ultimate prize, the rudis, the wooden sword that symbolizes your absolute unconditional freedom. For the first time in your entire life, you are a free man. You take your official freedom document, a delicate wax tablet, and secure it inside a leather pouch around your neck. In Rome, if you are a former slave walking around without papers, any wealthy patrician can claim you ran away from them and throw you right back into chains. Using the massive prize money you accumulated from your arena victories, you purchase a beautiful little house with a tiled roof and a peaceful inner courtyard. You open up your own private training school, teaching wealthy Roman teens how to defend themselves. One afternoon, you visit the city's slave market. Your heart breaks as you look at the thousands of human beings branded with tags around their necks, showing their age and skills like products in a store. You notice a young slave girl covered in horrific whip scars. Remembering your mother's tragic fate, you immediately buy her out of slavery and hand her her freedom papers. She chooses to stay by your side. Years pass, love blossoms, and soon you have a beautiful family with 2 small children. You finally did it, Zimo. You beat the system. Or so you thought. One fateful evening, you walk back home from a long day of work at your training school, carrying toys for your kids, but as you turn the corner, your sensory processors detect the smell of smoke and blood. You run inside your house and your world completely shatters. Your wife, your innocent children, all slaughtered on the floor. Why did this happen? Did bandits rob you? No, it was something far worse. Roman justice. You find out that in a massive villa nearby, an abused slave finally snapped and killed his cruel master. Under the terrifying Roman law called Senatus Consultum Silanianum, if a master is killed by a slave, every single slave living under that roof, along with all their relatives and associates in the district, must be executed immediately to send a message to the public. Your wife happened to be distant cousins with one of the slaves in that villa. Even though she was a legally free woman living miles away, the Roman magistrates didn't care. They sent the city guards to wipe out your entire family while you were away, just to fulfill a cruel, cold, legal quota. There is no court to appeal to. There is no judge who will listen to a former slave. The realization hits your core. Rome is an empire built on slaughter, and it cannot be fixed. It can only be burned. Your glowing yellow eyes instantly switch to a terrifying, blazing crimson red. The peaceful instructor is gone. The champion gladiator is back, and this time, he isn't fighting for the amusement of the crowd. You draw your steel gladius sword. You become a one-man apocalypse. You storm through the elite neighborhoods of Rome, slicing through personal bodyguards, corrupt politicians, and cruel slave owners like a hot knife through butter. No one can stop your sheer, unadulterated fury. You march straight to the countryside, right back to the very farm where you were born. Size, frail boy, you break down the master's oak doors. You find your original master, the coward who let your mother die to save a few coins. He begs for mercy, offering you all his gold. You look him in the eyes and you deliver absolute justice. Your revenge is complete. Your mechanical heart is heavy, but finally at peace. You hear the trumpets of the Roman legions surrounding the estate. There are thousands of them, and there is no escape. But an honorable warrior only goes out on his own terms. In the exact same room where you took your very first breath as a helpless talking tool, you take your last breath as a completely free, unbroken man. What would you do if you were thrown into Zimo's shoes in ancient Rome? Would you try to escape, or would you fight your way to the top of the Colosseum? Let me know in the comments below. If you love this epic simulation, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Zimo What If, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our next crazy trip through history. Until next time, simulation travelers, Zimo out. Peace.